there's a lot of stuff going on in the Harris campaign. Now, the Trump campaign is kind of stagnant. Um, and I wanted to make sure that everybody got an update on what Harris was up to, what Walz was up to, because they have such a wide campaign. I also haven't been doing many videos lately because, I just don't want to do interviews where unless they're really, really valuable for everybody. So we're going to start doing videos because I don't know, some people I think want to hear from us. Um, we'll do some live Q&As and things like that. Yeah, hey everybody, it is our first live video. We're only a few days out from the election and there's a lot happening. I want to make sure that, again, that we update you on everything that the Harris campaign is doing, and you can see exactly how wide the campaign is compared to the Trump campaign. Maybe make you feel a little bit better about what's going on in the world right now. I think there's a lot of lies going on about, Harris versus Trump. Trump doesn't really have a ground game. He's got a scam game on the ground, and it really makes a big difference. I've worked on campaigns for 20 years, and you can't fake field game. You can't ever fake field game, and it's really tough seeing. You see 1.2 million doors knocked viably by the Harris campaign, and then you don't have numbers coming back from the Trump campaign. You know something's wrong there. They do not have field offices in, I think, 5 of the 7 swing states. They have 10% of what the Harris campaign has. And at the same time, think about the volunteers for Trump. There's not people really going out there knocking doors, and the people who work for Harris are diehard supporters. People who are working for Trump are diehard for themselves. There's a big difference there, obviously. So there's a lot of things going on. Obviously, I think Harris is crisscrossing across every single swing state over the next 4 or 5 days, and we'll be hitting everywhere. So all across North Carolina, she'll be in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, really focusing on Pennsylvania. I know she's making a west swing out to Arizona and Nevada as well. And so it's going to be a constant kind of slog. Yesterday, there were get out the vote rallies in Raleigh, North Carolina, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Madison, Wisconsin. In Madison, they had an awesome, if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you do. Mumford and Sons, Gracie Abrams, and Remy Wolf, and Matt Berninger from The National. He did an awesome thing. If you get a chance, also check out on YouTube one of my favorite ads ever. It's called Signs. It's from the Obama campaign. And it is The National singing in the background, Fake Empire, and they're flipping down different signs of hope is the sign, and it's different people from different walks of life. And it really reminds me of how the Harris campaign is operating right now. In Raleigh, Harris said it's a time for a new chapter where we stop pointing fingers at each other and instead lock arms with one another. It was along the lines she said in the Lips the other night, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. In Harrisburg, Kamala said on day one, Trump would walk in again with that enemies list. When she's elected, she'll get a to-do list. And I'm not sure if you know, but through our investigations with things like the Russia scandal and things that led to the Mueller investigation, running both impeachment campaigns, the second one was a lot easier than the first. I'm probably on that enemies list that they're talking about. So, this is the kind of thing, like, I'm just some guy, right? And so why would I be an enemy of a former president of the United States? He didn't like me. He didn't like me very much. I was one of the loudest guys about COVID, wearing masks, vaccines, and he just didn't like how I keep on calling him a liar. And I did that. I remember, just a quick side note, I was on MSNBC, I think the day or two after inauguration, and sitting next to Joy Reid, and she's talking about inauguration, and we see the crowd size comment from Sean Spicer, and then Kellyanne Conway comes on and talks about the lies comment, and I just sat there in disbelief. And I know Joy hadn't seen the alternative facts comment by Kellyanne Conway. And my immediate response is like, resign, resign. I hadn't seen it yet. And I started thinking, I was like, well, you know, one of the things you can't do is lie at such a level, um, especially in the presidency, because those lies equate in death. And sadly, I was right. I remember about 300,000 deaths in. I interviewed Mary Trump, and she told me it was a big deal at the time. She said that Trump was to blame for those deaths, and she's right, obviously. And that's still a time that I'll never forget. The opportunity where you had hundreds of millions of masks being sent via the post office, him putting a stop to that and choosing to use masks to divide us. We even had Grant Stern, who's one of my closer friends. He set up an organization that I helped start called Masks Now, where we had thousands of people across the country sewing masks for other people because doctors, nurses, it was intended for patients originally, but then it went on from there, and it hundreds of thousands of masks later, I don't know how many lives he helped save. So Grant Stern, follow him if you don't already. He's a great investigative journalist. He helped uncover a lot of the Trump-Russian business ties over 30 years with me when he was writing for Huffington Post. So yeah, there were a handful of protesters last night in Madison. And the vice president said, we all want the war in Gaza to end and get the hostages out as soon as possible. And I'll do everything in my power to make it heard and known. And she said something along the lines of, everyone has a right to be heard. And she did. It was a moment, it was a presidential moment, I would call it, where she said, but right now I'm speaking. And it was, the place erupted, rightfully so. It was pretty amazing. So then you have Walls, who went on Good Morning America, CBS Morning, that did events in Charlotte, Greensboro, and Asheville, North Carolina. You have Doug, who is played by Andy Samberg. I love Andy Samberg, on SNL, but he teamed up with AOC to do phone banks and stuff at UNLV in Nevada, and later it was multiple phone banks, and AOC has been crushing it for the campaign so far, especially. Gwen Walls was on The Talk in the afternoon, and she's been crisscrossing the country talking about her pregnancy story and whatnot. And I guess yesterday in Arizona, Gabby Giffords was on the trail, doing a Fighting for Reproductive Freedom tour with Senator Kelly. Ruben Gallego was on the obviously out there. Senator Flake and John Giles, who's the Republican mayor in Mesa. They were all campaigning for her. In Georgia, you had Shonda Rhimes doing a canvas launch and doing door knocking. You had Justin Jones, who's one of the Tennessee Three. I know if you've seen my interview with Gloria, but check that out if you haven't. And they were doing a block party out there. Jennifer Granholm was out there in Augusta. So in Georgia, they're really working it. I've worked in Georgia for 20 years. It is a hard place to campaign. It's really based around Atlanta and the metro area there. But it's a different time. I think people have really changed over the years. I first worked there in 2005, and it has completely changed since then. In Michigan, Bill Clinton did several events. Gretchen Whitmer was doing different events. I think she did 4 or 5 different cities on a bus tour. The lieutenant governor, Detroit City Council president, they're really pushing it hard in Michigan. And then they held a press conference with Republicans who are supporting her in Michigan, current electeds. And then in Nevada, they also had, besides AOC and Doug, they had Susan Rice, who's the former ambassador. I mean, obviously, she was heavily involved with the Obama administration. The DNC chair, Jamie Harrison, was there as well. And then in Pennsylvania, I'm a big fan of hers, is Jasmine Crockett. Badass, complete badass. I believe she was an attorney before she got elected into Congress. Then you have Spike Lee was out there. Isaiah Thomas, not the basketball player, but the councilman, who's just as awesome. and you have different laborers and union members that were out there really knocking on doors and whatnot. So that's been really the key, is having the diverse lineup, and a campaign that's devoted to making sure that they're hitting everywhere at a constant. And so we're talking about having different campaign offices set up throughout the entire country. And these campaign offices have been operational when Biden started running for his reelection. They're out there working the community, and not just there to knock doors or make phone calls or organize phone banks. They are building playgrounds. They're volunteering in the community. They're making a difference. They're going to church there. They're living there. A lot of the people are locals themselves. And so it's not like the synthetic grass tops kind of Trump campaign, which is frivolous at best. And so what I'm going to do every day is kind of go over what we're going to experience the day ahead, and also I'll go over what's happening today and the day before. So today we're just doing the initial update, checking out, seeing how this works. I appreciate y'all taking the time. Again, like I said at the beginning, we'll be doing live Q&A sessions. I'll be doing interviews with other people on the platform through here, and I'll be answering your questions as well. I appreciate y'all taking the time. Let's catch up soon.